My name is Shawn, and I love to teach people how to use their Cricut at my website, shawnmosh.com. I strongly believe that once you learn to use the different functions in Cricut Design Space, you can create anything you want. And that is exactly what I plan to do with today's project. So let's get started. This project, I'm going to show you how to make a twist and pop card in Cricut Design Space. You can actually design this project yourself because it's basically made up of a bunch of rectangles and score lines. If you want to try doing that on your own, I do have a tutorial for that. But for this project, I turned the whole thing into an SVG file. So now we're going to start off by showing you how to upload that SVG file. When you first get the SVG file and download it, it's going to come in a zipped folder. It usually has this little zipper icon on it. A lot of people ask me, how do you unzip a zipped folder? The steps can be slightly different depending on what operating system you're working with. I'm on my computer, which is Windows, so I can just right click and there's an extract all button. So I'm going to select that. This is now asking me where do I want to put this unzipped folder. I'm just going to put it on my desktop just to make it easy. Okay, so then it opens up this little window. You can see there's two SVG files in here. One's for the card and one is for the score lines. So now let's jump back into Cricut Design Space and I'll show you how we upload these and put the two files together. Just start by clicking on the upload button. We're going to say upload image. And now we're just going to go back to where we downloaded those. And let's start by bringing in the card. You can see that it automatically defaults to a cut image. That's how you know this image that we just uploaded is a true SVG file. It's not asking, do you want to save this as a cut image or a print then cut image? It just defaults straight to cut image. This is why I love using SVG files. It's all layered. You can see all the different colored layers are in there. It's ready to go and ready to cut. Over here, if you want to change the naming of it, you can do that or add additional tags so that when you search for this image later, you can find it more easily. I'm going to click upload and there it is right there. Now remember, we have to go back and grab the score lines. And those also came in saving as a cut image. So we'll upload those. So now let's click on both of these and say add to canvas. When it brings it into the canvas, it is going to stack everything on top of each other and it kind of looks like a mess. But that's why I'm doing this video to help you through it. So I'm going to start by taking the score lines and moving them over here. These are the score lines, but you can see they come in as a basic cut line. It's fine, just go here and change it all to score. And now they'll score instead of cutting. They are all grouped together just to try and make it easier for this SVG file. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is either right click on the image and say ungroup or use the ungroup button up here. Either way, it gets you to the same result of having now separate groupings of your score lines, one for each portion of the card. Same thing with the card image. This is the card base. This is the internal part that's going to kind of pop out. And then this is the piece that's going to make the mechanics of that pop out and twist happen. They are all grouped together, so I'm going to ungroup. And now I can start with this piece. which goes along with these score lines. So if I select everything and say align to the center and then attach, that's all you have to do. That's all ready to go. So I'm going to move it over here so I know it's ready. Okay, if I grab these are all grouped together. So in order to work with the separate pieces, first we want to ungroup again. And really all we need to work with this time is the white piece. So I'm just going to pull that down here. So now with that white piece, we're going to take these 3 score lines. Let's grab all of those, the score lines and that rectangle, and say align to center those. Once that's centered, we can attach those. And then these are going to slide back up here. You can see that this white piece is now in front of the others. So I'm just going to go arrange and send it to the back. So now I am done with all of those pieces. Let's go up here. And again, we're going to ungroup. Nope, I must have had grouping inside of a grouping. So we're going to ungroup twice. Now when I click over here on this white piece, I can pull that down. And I can grab this score line. And let's grab everything and say align to the center. And then after we've done that, we want to attach. Arrange to the back. Now that the card is all set up with the score lines in the right place, we can click Make It. When you click Make It, you can see it will tell you which items it's going to cut first. So the first thing I'm going to do is load some white cardstock. It's going to first score all of these score lines. Then it's going to cut all of the rectangles. You can see I'm using an older machine today, but I wanted to do this to show you. The first thing you're going to want to do is flip open that lever and pull out your blade housing. And then you're going to grab your scoring stylus and insert it in here and just close the clamp. You can see that the double arrow button is blinking on my Cricut. That means it's time to load my mat with my white cardstock. When you load your mat, make sure it always gets underneath those side guides. Then you can press the double arrow button to load it. Then it's going to blink with the C button. That activates the Cricut to do the next step, which is the scoring of this paper. Once the Cricut is done scoring, it's going to pause and allow me to remove the scoring stylus and put my blade back in. Once I have the blade back in the housing and flip that little lever closed, I can press the C and now it's going to cut everything. If you have a newer machine that has 2 holders, you'll put your blade in the B holder and your accessory of the scoring stylus in the A holder, and then you don't have to do the switching back and forth like I am doing today. Once the white cardstock is done cutting, you'll see the Cricut tells you to insert the next color. Instead of gray, I'm actually using a patterned cardstock, and this is going to cut the candles. Again, make sure it's loaded properly. Hit the double arrow to load it all the way in. And then when the C starts to blink, you can press that for cutting. I have a fun little tip I'm going to show you. I'm going to cut the orange for the flames out of iron-on vinyl. So in Design Space, we're going to want to make sure that our base material is set to iron-on. And then over here on the left-hand side, click the Edit button. Make sure you have the mirror button checked because with iron-on, we're cutting from the back side. So we want to flip or mirror all of our designs. Additionally, you can space things out a little differently. I'm just moving these flames over a little bit so that when I cut them, they're not cutting right to the edge of the material. The holographic vinyl I'm using has all these beautiful shades in it that I think resemble fire. So I place it on my cutting mat, and you can see there is one side that's kind of sticking up and not laying down flat. That's because my mat's a little worn out, but I'm going to show you a little trick that I use. Add some painter's tape to the sides of your iron-on vinyl, and then that will hold it in place. And then you just load it and cut as normal. I'm not going to show cutting each and every piece. Just keep watching Design Space and it will tell you which color you're going to load next. Once everything is cut, the first thing I like to do is look at my cardstock pieces. If you can see white on the edges of any of them, grab a marker or an ink pad, and we are going to do something called inking the edges. You're just going to take the marker and run it along the edges of your cardstock. I like to do this first because it gives that ink time to dry. And here you can see the one on the left I have inked and the one on the right I haven't. So it just gives it a prettier edge. Next, I'm going to weed my iron-on vinyl. I really like to do all this kind of prep work so all my pieces are ready to go. And then I feel like the assembly of the card goes so much faster. Speaking of prep work, let's grab all our white cardstock pieces and find those score lines and just fold everything on the score lines. Then I also like to give them a nice crease with my bone folder. When you are scoring that long centerpiece, you want it to start down and go up to a peak, down to a valley, up to a peak, down to a valley. For the last piece, that is the mechanics of how everything is going to pop, just crease all of the lines. It doesn't really matter which direction they're going right now because you're just getting a crease in there. And then we'll worry about the direction. Personally, I think this fold is hard to explain. It's easier just to see. So I have my center fold both ways, and then I have the X fold. So while holding them like this, see how I'm pushing the outside pieces together to kind of make that point? Now watch how I grab the sides with my thumb and my finger. Now I'm kind of squeezing what I'm holding in the front to what I'm holding in the back. So it kind of points up to make a little house is the best way I could describe this. This is what you want your end result of your fold to be. This little house. Okay, let's do this again. I bring my sides together. And when it's right about here and you start to see that triangle points, squeeze the front towards the back so that it lays flat all on top of each other and makes this cute little house shape. Now let's start to put all the pieces together by taking a tape runner and applying some double-sided tape to the back of all the light blue pieces and adhering those to the dark blue. Now I'm going to take that center piece, paying attention to how it's folded, and then I'm going to apply adhesive to the back side of the dark blue and just center those pieces in between the fold lines. And then I'm going to take the largest piece and just center that on the front flap of the card. Now let's put that little house piece inside the main base of the card. So look at the point or peak of the house, and we want to center that on your center fold. I'm going to put both double-sided tape and like a glue adhesive on the triangle point of this house. So the reason I'm doing both types of adhesive is the double stick tape is going to hold it in place while the glue dries. The glue gives it a better hold, but I didn't want it to shift around or move at all, so that's where the tape is holding it in place. To position this, I'm putting the point or tip of that house shape in the center of our center fold of our card base. And now we can add the double-sided tape and some glue to the other point. And then when we close the card and kind of press down, it's going to stick. You might want to let this stick and kind of dry for a little bit of time, but then when you open it up, you can see how it just pops open like that. I'm just going to grab a pencil and mark the center point here. And I'm going to use that as my guide so I can line these two pieces up right on the center fold. Then while I'm holding that in that center position, I want to open up this piece that has the 4 folds in it, fold just one flap back and draw a line there. Then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Just draw a line where that hits. We're basically creating 4 quadrants that are defined by the fold and that little pencil mark that I made. So when we go to apply the adhesive to this piece, we're only going to put it in 2 of those quadrants. So I'm going with the lower left and the upper right. If you glued down all 4 quadrants, this mechanism wouldn't be able to twist and then pop open. So now you can see I'm just centering and lining up that piece that's going to kind of explode out. And then I'm just going to open those flaps so that they adhere down to the glue that I already placed there. While the glue dries, let's work on the pieces for the front of the card. I'm going to take the candle pieces and some heat resistant tape and tape the little vinyl flames right onto those candle pieces. This is just going to help hold everything in place when I go and take these to my heat press. And yes, I am going to press them in a heat press. I sandwich them between 2 pieces of parchment paper and then press them in my heat press at 360 degrees for about 8 to 10 seconds. Then let them cool off. Then you can remove the heat resistant tape and the carrier sheet and you can just see how perfect these turned out. To finish this up, we're just going to add some adhesive to the back of the candle pieces and attach those to the front of the card. Now the last thing I want to do is show you how this looks when you open it. I hope you enjoyed this twist and pop card project. I always love it when we can make a project and learn something. So with this project, we've learned how to upload an SVG, align and attach score lines, and how to use iron-on vinyl on cardstock. Now, as a bonus, I do have some freebies for you, including my Teach Me Cricut Design Space handbook. I have one that is just for using the computer with Cricut Design Space, and another one specifically for the iPad. This is because the software screen looks different from the computer to the iPad, so I want to do one for each of them. When you grab my freebies, make sure to sign up for my newsletter. That way, when there's updates to Design Space and I update my documents, you'll be the first to know. Do you still want more? Then let me tell you about my Teach Me Cricut Design Space online course. Do you want to learn how to use Cricut Design Space? Whether you are a brand new Cricut owner or an experienced crafter, this will help you with any of your Cricut projects. Through my personal training sessions, you will learn how to insert images, shapes, and text, curve text, weld letters, and understand layers and SVG files, and use the print and cut function. Already know all of these things? Then use our one-on-one sessions to learn more advanced features or ask project-specific questions. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this project and that we can craft together again sometime.